Hello everyone, this is Elisa with Elisa's Crafty Creations, and today I'm going to be using Spellbinders Stitchmas Advent Calendar, door number 3. And today's die was a ornament die. The first thing I did was grab my Spellbinders Stitchmas add-on kit and select the Glacier Blue, the Cosmic Sky, essential colour cardstock and place my dies on them, and then run them through my Sizzlick Sidekick by Tim Holtz. I like using this machine when it's a smaller die as it takes up a lot less space. I then use the Brush Gold Colour Essentials cardstock to go ahead and cut out the ornament topper. I later would change this to still silver. I then got some DMC Colour Essential thread and use this to stitch the ornament. Now there's lots of videos out there on how to stitch these dies, so I'm just going to go ahead and give you a few of my tips. The first thing I like to do is go ahead and cut an additional piece of cardstock with just some scrap cardstock I have lying around of the die, and then glue it behind to help provide additional stability whilst stitching the ornament. Another thing you need to be careful of is not to pull the thread too taut, as you don't want to start bending the cardstock as you're sewing. My third tip is to use a tapestry needle. These needles have slightly larger openings which make it easier to thread the thread. And if you're really struggling with the thread, I do also highly recommend using a threading tool. These are easily available at craft stores. And if you got that Spellbinders add-on kit for Stitchmas, you will find one of those in there. So whilst I finish stitching this, I'm going to go ahead and put on some music, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Once the die cuts were stitched, I used my Belly Art glue to adhere the glacier ornament to a piece of Cosmic Sky, and the Cosmic Sky stitched ornament to a piece of glacier cardstock. This allows for an additional pop of colour as well as some dimension on the die cut. I then placed them under a heavy glass vase to let them dry. And once they were dry, I attached silver ornament toppers to the top of both of my ornaments, and again set them aside to dry. I then got out my Spellbinders Platinum machine, and today I'm using the Universal Plate system. I selected the Christmas Tile Embossing folder, which was the embossing folder of the month for October 2023 by Spellbinders, misted some water on a piece of white cardstock, and then ran it through my die cut machine. I then got my Tim Holtz mini brayer and some Delicata pigment ink in silvery shimmer, and gently rolled some ink over the embossed parts of the paper, creating this cool background effect. Once I'd finished, I then set this aside to dry and grabbed a Spellbinders A2 note card. Using Tombow adhesive, I went ahead and added plenty of adhesive, and then grabbed my Misty Precision stamp tool to help me ensure that my background was aligned correctly to my note card. I then went ahead and grabbed the leftover blue DMC thread that I had from stitching the glacier cardstock earlier, and I threaded that through the ornament topper and then secured it with a little bit of artist tape on the back. I also did this to the Cosmic Sky die cut. I then attached Spellbinders foam squares to the back of the ornaments so I could add some more dimension to the card. I then used a We Are Memory Keepers stick tool to help remove the backs of the foam squares, and then using tweezers identified the placement of the ornaments on my die cut background. I highly recommend using a pair of tweezers when placing die cuts, as it allows you to hover over the top but not commit to a spot until you're perfectly happy. I then took the DMC thread attached to the ornaments and wrapped it over the top of the note card, and then stuck it down to the inside front of the note card using artist crafts tape. I then took an A2 size piece of glacier cardstock, but also by Spellbinders, and attached that to the inside front of the card just to cover those threads. I then noticed that it was a little bit bigger than my actual card base, so I went ahead and used my We Are Memory Keepers guillotine to trim that little bit of blue cardstock off. I then grabbed a Deck the Halls sentiment. This comes from the Joyful Christmas Sentiments Glimmer Hot Plate and die set from the Joyful Christmas collection by Simon Hurley, and this is definitely one of my favourite holiday sentiment sets. Again, I used some of those Spellbinders foam squares to add dimension and used my Cricut tweezers to decide on the placement on the front of the card. Last but not least, I added some adhesive gems to my ornaments. These gems came from the Paper Studio collection, and they can be found at Hobby Lobby. I wasn't too impressed with these adhesive gems, so I don't think I'm going to buy them again in the future. I do prefer using the Spellbinders ones. I just didn't have any in and wanted to get this card completed, and this is what I had in my stash. Finally, the card is finished. Thanks for making it to the end of my video. Don't forget to like and comment if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe to my channel to see more of my crafty creations. And most importantly, keep crafty, and I'll see you next time.